I'm Boaz Ishelman, and you're watching the Channel 9 News Update. Tonight's top story, trial run of the Sentinels is hailed as a triumphant success as the mutant nest in Los Angeles is uncovered and neutralized with no civilian casualties. Were these mutant terrorists behind the recent anti-human bombings in New York and Washington? Police say the evidence is undeniable. But human rights campaigners, Amnesty International, have condemned the action as inhuman and unconstitutional, provoking a stern White House response.
How anyone can question the Sentinel Initiative after the Washington annihilation is astonishing. The president wishes to reaffirm his support for this project and offers his most sincere congratulations to the federal employees behind it.
The president's press secretary was, of course, referring to the Brotherhood of Mutants' devastating bomb blast on Capitol Hill only 7 days ago, and the subsequent broadcast from Magneto, master of magnetism, the death cult's self-appointed leader.
Man is a parasite upon mutant resources. He eats our food, breathes our air, and occupies land which evolution intended Homo superior to inherit. Naturally, our attacks upon your power bases will continue until you deliver this world to its rightful owners. But your replacements grow impatient.
Former NASA engineer and Sentinel designer, Professor Bolivar Trask, was pleased with the performance of his androids and is excited about future potential.
We've lived in fear of the mutants for as long as I can remember, but today goes down in history as the turning point where ordinary people started fighting back. Los Angeles was only the first step. My colleagues and I estimate that every mutant hiding in the United States will be detained within the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Geez, I haven't seen anyone looking so nervous watching TV since my old man bet the rent on last year's Super Bowl. What's the matter, freak? You scared the Sentinels will drop in here for a beer on the way back from L.A.?
Correct me if I'm wrong, sir, but I was under the impression that the Sentinels were only after mutants.
Well, if you ain't a mutant, how do you explain those ugly gorilla-sized feet of yours, dude? Was Mom making out with Mighty Joe Young behind your daddy's back, or what?
I'm sorry, friend, but I think you've mistaken me for someone who walked in here looking for trouble.
Yeah, well, I reckon you just mistook me for someone who cares, fat boy. Oh, shit.
Get out of my bar, you filthy animal, or I swear to God I'll decorate this place with every brain cell in your head!
Are you serious? The guy came at me with a pool cue.
That's right, freak. Just keep mouthing off and giving me the excuse I was looking for to pull this trigger!
Okay, I'm going. But the only reason I feel I can walk out of here with any dignity is that I didn't flush the toilet when I paid a visit to your men's room.
Don't you ever wonder what it would be like to live in a place where the locals aren't organizing a lynch mob the second you walk through the door, Henry McCoy?
Who the heck are you?
The best thing that's happened to you since they started doing Reebok in a size 42, handsome. Excuse me, officer. Have you got a moment?
Heck, miss, got two. What's up?
Well, despite the fact that I'm an attractive young girl, what your brain is actually registering at the moment is a middle-aged federal agent with all the relevant identification. Now let's stop wasting my time and yours and take a look at this mutant you boys said you found.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. I don't know what came over me. Thanks for coming down here on such short notice.
No problem, son. Ordinary Joes like you and me can't be too careful with all these shifty radioactive freaks on the loose.
I know what you mean, sir. This little car thief, for example, looks as human as you or me. It's hard to believe the freak created some kind of artificial lightning storm when we pulled over her 1978 Mustang on Highway 45 a couple of hours ago. Lucky for us, Miss Aurora Monroe here hasn't quite perfected her mutant abilities, or we'd be the ones nursing a few broken ribs instead of this little minx, huh?
Thank heavens for small mercies, Deputy. Grab your things and start running, Aurora. I can only cloud one mind at a time, and the sheriff will be back any minute.
You're not another of Magneto's stupid lackeys, are you? I've already told him I'm not interested in enslaving the human race.
Relax, sweetheart. My name's Jean Grey, and you're working for the competition now.
A little birdie informs me that every cent you're paid by the Russian mafia gets wired back to your impoverished family in Siberia, Mr. Rasputin. I wonder, are all Soviet expatriates such mother's boys? Or is this behavior exclusive to the arms-dealing community?
Just shut up and check the merchandise before I kick you so hard you'll be gulping with 3 Adam's apples, Ahmed.
Your KGB suitcase nuke looks quite in order, young man. I believe the gentleman I represent will be most satisfied. My thanks for such a smooth transaction, and I'm certain we shall do business again in the very near future.
Freeze, you little snake. Isn't it customary where you come from to let a business associate actually count the $1 million in every $1 million deal?
I'm afraid that depends entirely on whether they've just been handed a suitcase full of Monopoly money, my dear young friend. Oh dear.
My thoughts, exactly.
I know what you're thinking, kid. You think your cover's blown and you're all alone, and you might as well stand here and wait for the Sentinels now that the word is out that you're secretly a mutant. But you're wrong. You are not alone. Welcome to the X-Men, honey.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Scott Summers. But as long as we're in uniform, I recommend you all get used to calling me Cyclops. Now, before we meet the professor, I want all you to run through your individual code names one more time to make sure we're on the same page here.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but Storm.
Colossus.
Am I the only one who finds beast kind of derogatory?
Marvel Girl, reporting for duty, Cyclops.
Knock it off, Jean.
There's no denying you've got a beautiful school here. But what kind of principal designs black latex uniforms for his impressionable teenage students?
The kind who wants the mutant gene we're all carrying around to remain undetected by the Sentinels, I'd imagine. The uniform is a cloaking device. As long as you're wearing one of these, the Sentinels are fooled into thinking your biosignature is safely in the human range.
Aren't you worried these painters will tell someone you're running a safe house for illegal mutants?
Not in the slightest, Colossus. I placed these fine gentlemen in a post-hypnotic trance when I hired them. You could fly a plane down that corridor and the poor devils would be convinced they were looking at a wasp.
Is it just me? Or is there some creepy guy talking directly into our brains about wasps?
Come in, my friends. Join me for a Perrier in the library.
My name is Professor Charles Xavier. You'll have to forgive me for not standing up.
This might sound like a stupid question, but is a room still a library if it doesn't have any books?
I'm afraid, like you, my reading speed has reached the point where I can't turn the pages fast enough, Beast. I prefer to sit here instead and read the minds of favorite writers as they type. You'd be surprised how many good ideas never make it to the printed page.
Fascinating.
No, what's fascinating is that 2 grown men are answering to Colossus and Beast. I'm grateful for the roof over my head while this anti-mutant hysteria is going on outside. But do we really need the insulting high school nicknames?
But these aren't nicknames, Storm. You've just been rebaptized as a post-human being. It's an idea Magneto and I devised once upon a time. A name which describes your own skills and personality as opposed to those of a long-dead ancestor.
I thought you said you had nothing to do with Magneto.
On the contrary, my dear. There was a time when Magneto and I were like brothers. I was the one who helped him build his mutant sanctuary in that lost, forgotten jungle. A refuge for anyone seeking respite from the kind of persecution we had always faced. For a while, it seemed like our little hiding place in the Savage Land was as close as God's Earth could ever come to heaven. But sadly, nothing lasts forever.
What went wrong?
Let's just say Magneto and I had something of a falling out.
As in he wanted mutant kind to overthrow the status quo, and you had the temerity to disagree with him?
Precisely. I've long held the opinion that the only guarantee in a confrontation between man and mutant is extinction on both sides. That's why I escaped here and formed this little school. And why it was so essential that I found you before he did. Make no mistake, children. We're here to stop a war.
How did you manage to find us anyway? I've always been pretty careful about covering my tracks.
The same way I found the young man who couldn't control the beams from his eyes, and the 16-year-old girl who could lift weights with her thoughts, Colossus. The Cerebro system. Cerebro amplifies my psychic abilities, and gives me a head over whatever Magneto's currently using to locate new recruits for his Brotherhood. I was actually just in the middle of using it to mind scan another potential student when I heard Cyclops drawing up in the people carrier outside. A 15-year-old boy who ran away from home when he realized he was a mutant, terrified that his parents might get hurt if the Sentinels attacked his suburban home. His name, I believe, is Bobby Drake, but I'm afraid even he isn't sure what his powers are yet.
I must be out of my mind. It's Saturday night and I'm dressed like an action figure and prowling the streets for some zit-faced teenager. Remind me of how Xavier ever talked me into this again, Cyclops.
Because you know what it's like to be on the run, Storm. Besides, could you really lie around watching TV while this poor kid gets barbecued in the next Sentinel swoop?
Barbecue's off the menu, Cyclops. I've just spotted Drake on a Greyhound bus, and the only thing he's in danger of is a persistent leg cramp.
Not from where I'm standing, people. Turn around.
Cyclops the Beast. I know you haven't been trained for this, man, and I hate to throw you in at the deep end, but...
I know. Carol's just being the big monkey-like guy in any team, Cyclops. But all the gene-cloaking uniforms in the world aren't gonna hide me now that my cover's been blown. Any chance of some backup before me and Bobby's obituaries appear in the morning papers?
Backup are having their arms twisted right now, Beast. Good work, by the way.
Okay, I know the circumstances are hardly ideal to see if our team works up to scratch. But Marvel Girl and I can't do this alone. I'm just praying you guys are half as good as the Professor seems to think you are. Marvel Girl, disorient their signals. Colossus, topple those two on the left. Storm, you stick with me.
Forget it, Cyclops. You don't understand. The last time I tried to use my powers, I almost electrocuted an entire playground full of 12-year-olds.
This isn't open to debate, Storm. You either pitch in and help, or we're all sleeping in a shallow grave tonight. I don't have time to get on my knees here.
Okay. Well, give it a try. But don't blame me if I wipe out Manhattan by mistake.
So much for the girl who couldn't control her powers. You just took out 3 Sentinels in a single strike. Storm? Oh, crap.
Colossus, Beast. You still need that backup?
Actually, everything's pretty much under control again now that I'm accustomed to Bobby's extra 130 pounds. You might want to lend Jean a hand, though. She looks pretty stressed for such an easygoing girl.
What? We're the ones who are completely surrounded.
Take it easy, Bobby. I've been getting shot at since my old man used to come home drunk and take pot shots at me when I was sleeping in my crib. You learn a few good tricks than a target on your life.
Can't believe we're still alive here, Beast. Are we down to the last Sentinel, or have I still got blood in my eyes?
Down to the last 2, Cyclops.
Turns out Storm only took out 2.5 Sentinels with that lightning strike. And the missing half is the part that liked ordinary people.
Jean, stand back!
Colossus! Over here, you piece of trash!
Good boy.
I know what you're thinking, incidentally. You think the only way I can release an optic blast is to press the button on my visor, don't you? Bad news, dumbass. Stick fast, Marvel Girl.
You're covered, Cyclops. It's the people that think staggering towards I'm panicking about now.
So what are you doing standing around? Do something!
But I can't take the weight of something that big.
Oh my god!
Will everybody shut up and just get down?
Way to go, Bobby Drake.
Was that me?
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the Iceman, please. You just split his head open, you idiot!
He's dead! Maybe then freaks like you will finally get the message!
Are you people insane? This boy just saved your lives.
Gene, let it go. It's not worth it. Just get out of here.
Contrary to what you might have believed, it seems our old friend Charles Xavier is alive and well, gentlemen.
Seriously? I mean, I recognize Jean Grey and a couple of the others we were after, but I didn't see Xavier in any of the news footage, Magneto.
An organized cell of outcasts risking their lives for a few grinning primates? He might as well have signed the bottom of the screen Toad.
The arms dealers are waiting upstairs, Magneto.
Ah, the fat little Homo sapien who managed to lose my nuclear weapon. Tell him to wait in the music room, Quicksilver. I'm going to watch the videotape again.
Oh, Magneto, how can I ever thank you for giving me this chance to explain, sir?
I'm afraid you misunderstand, Ahmed. I didn't grant you this audience to listen to your stuttering, half-baked excuses. You're here to be made an example of, little man. Tell me, are you still fitted with that pacemaker after a lifetime of overeating and neglect?
Yes, but I don't see what that's got to do with... Oh, God!
Clean up the mess, Scarlet Witch. Charles has resurfaced Quicksilver, just as I always knew he would. He's established a little power base for himself in North America, and assembled a rival camp to our own.
Just tell me where he is, and I promise he'll be dead within your next 2 heartbeats, sir.
Oh, shut up, Pietro. Charles would close down your mind before you were halfway across the Pacific Ocean. I need a qualified assassin to find him and kill him before he converts any other young mutants to his naive, integrationist ideals. Tell Wolverine he has a new assignment.
JFK International.
I can't believe you just waltzed through airport security like that, Wolverine. Immigration missing your mutant gene is one thing, but how does a guy with an adamantium skeleton avoid setting off every metal detector in the building?
3 little words, bub. I'm a professional.
Look, we respect the fact that you like to work alone. Magneto just wanted me to let you know that the Brotherhood of Mutants East Coast cell is ready and primed if you need us.
For what? Doing my laundry?
This is a pretty straightforward hit, kid. Find Charles Xavier, infiltrate the little team he's putting together, and then gut the son of a gun like a trout. I don't need a bunch of low-grade amateur terrorists hanging around making life complicated.
Fooling Xavier is gonna be tougher than you think, man. I mean, how do you get close enough to kill a guy who can read your thoughts easier than the funny pages?
Like I said, short stuff, I'm...
What?
Something's wrong.
Hold your fire, boys. We got him. Wolverine's down.
Do you really need to check that cloaking device while we're doing 300 miles an hour, Henry? There are other ways to impress a girl, you know.
Come on, Gene. How often does a guy get to tinker with $1 billion piece of hardware like the Blackbird? I've spent my whole life fantasizing about a budget which could keep up with my ideas. Just wait till you see the plans I've got for that training room in the school basement.
You boys and your little toys. One of these days I'm gonna walk into a room and catch you and Cyclops trading Pokemon figures.
What's the story with you guys anyway? Storm reckons she heard Cyclops sneaking into your room the other night.
Well, I guess she needs to get her ears tested, Henry. Poor Scott spent the last year and a half trying to pluck up the courage to ask me out to a movie.
You mean the guy who can lobotomize a sentinel single-handedly fumbles his lines in the presence of a skinny little 19-year-old redhead?
Oh, and you're Casanova all of a sudden? How could a beautiful uptown girl like Storm ever love a man who butters his toast with his feet in the morning? If only she'd asked to do washing up duty with me instead of that big tractor-loving communist Colossus.
Very funny. Isn't there some kind of house rule against the school psychic eavesdropping on private thoughts?
You don't need to peek into someone's head to see their tongue hanging out, Henry McCoy.
Professor X to all students. Sorry to interrupt any of the decadent fantasies I'm getting feedback on here, but Cerebro just located another mutant in the New York area. Your presence is required in the school viewing room immediately.
Is it Magneto, Professor? Do you think he's finally figured out where you've set up the rival operation?
Unlikely, considering this gentleman was just captured by the authorities, Colossus. Magneto would have leveled half the city before they managed to bring him down. According to satellite pictures, our friend is being transported via military convoy to Canada at the moment. I want you to intercept this convoy with minimum force, and bring him back here for his own safety.
Sounds simple enough. Any idea who he is?
It's hard to tell, I'm afraid. There are so many memory implants in his head, it's impossible to be sure. But I suspect we're dealing with Wolverine here, Cyclops.
What?
Tell us you're jerking our chain, Professor.
Would somebody mind explaining to us newbies who Wolverine actually is, so we can all pee in our pants too?
Wolverine is the most dangerous killer in the world, Storm. The only proof he even exists is a blurred picture taken during the Gulf War. All we really know about him is that he was part of some black ops unit in the days when the Pentagon just exploited mutants as opposed to routinely executing us. Rumor has it he escaped 18 months ago, and nobody's seen him since. I guess this means his former masters have finally caught up with him.
This is going to be a dangerous operation, Iceman. You've only been with us for a couple of weeks, so nobody's going to hold it against you if you'd prefer to sit this one out.
No way, Professor. You guys were there for me when the Sentinels tried to fry my butt back in Times Square, right? It's only fair I'm there for Wolverine.
Good answer, Iceman. Let's rock and roll.
Syracuse, New York. Well, I guess any doubts we had about the authenticity of that tip-off can be dismissed, Wolverine. There ain't many people on God's good earth who can take 100 bullets in the rump and wake up with nothing worse than a hangover. Wraith? That's right, soldier. Welcome back to Weapon X. Whoa, easy, Tiger. I've seen those claws tear through the side of a tank, but that cage is made of the same semi-indestructible material our doctors lined your bones with. Cutting loose from this outfit once is more than any mutant ever managed in the past, son. Nobody gets that lucky twice in a lifetime. Same thing we used to do every night when there was nothing good on TV. Remember the laughs we used to have with that healing factor of yours, Wolverine? You could shoot him, stab him, crack his head open with an iron bar. His mutant healing ability meant that he could always just piece himself back together again. Hell, Big Jim Grant even doused him in gasoline and set him alight one time. And he was still up for Weapon X's Nicaragua operation 2 days later. Shame the same couldn't be said for that little snot we had to scoop up in those plastic bags at the airport. You dirty son of a... Watch your mouth, Judy. Have as much fun as you like with him, boys. We're wiping his mind clean again once we get back to base, so he ain't gonna remember any names or faces anyway. Your butt belongs to us, Wolverine. We caught you, we trained you, and we rebuilt you to be the Security Service's #1 killing machine. It's time you learned that the only way anyone leaves Weapon X is in a body bag, son.
Blow them away, Storm. Beast and Colossus, get Wolverine out of the truck. Everyone else, keep these dirtbags occupied, and don't forget for a second that they're all qualified PhDs in anti-mutant maneuvers.
I hate the way Cyclops keeps ordering everyone around like he's in charge. Did you know half a year younger than us?
Grab the commanding officer, you morons! He's the only one who knows the 10-digit code to get me out of this cell.
Take it easy, Wolverine. Bending steel bars for tourists is how I used to make pocket money.
Shame these ain't steel bars, dog breath.
Colonel, what about the men? Colonel?
Hurry up with that lock, Tubby. I'm losing the scent of that cheap cologne Wraith's mistress buys him for Christmas.
You know, considering we're the ones breaking you out of this place, I really don't appreciate these comments about my weight, Wolverine.
Well, don't eat so much, Butterball!
Hey!
Bad news, Cyclops. I've just had a message from Beast asking me to break it to you gently that they've just lost Wolverine.
What?
Wow, nice bike.
Don't just stand there catching flies in your mouths. Get after him!
Come on, Leibowitz! Doesn't this thing go any faster?
Colonel, I'll go any faster. I'll put the gas pedal through the floor.
All I ask is that extra 10%, soldier.
Wait, there's something up ahead on the road.
Boom.
Holy...
Off! Leibowitz! Holy mother of God! You just broke his freaking neck!
Lucky Leibowitz.
Wolverine, no! Don't kill him! I can't imagine what that animal put you through over the years. But murder him out here like this, and all you're going to do is prove the papers are right about us.
Babe, do I look like the kind of guy who lies awake at night worrying about the public's perception of mutants?
You've had a hard enough day, big man. Don't make me hurt you.
And how do you propose to do that, gorgeous? Hit me with a high heel? Smack me in the face with your Barbie purse?
Not exactly. Marvel Girl to Cyclops, get the Blackbird up here and let's get Wolverine back to base before some local calls 1-800-Sentinel. And if you even think about thanking me for saving your rear, I swear to God I'll implant my best homemade nightmares in your brain for the rest of your natural existence. Phil.
The Savage Land.
He's in, but we're bloody lucky this time, Magneto. I mean, what were the chances of those Weapon X tossers crawling out of the woodwork like that? And who the heck gave them details of when our New York connection was meeting Wolverine at JFK?
Oh, who do you think, Toad? It was me, you idiot.
What?
The Shadow World's most highly trained assassin rings his doorbell, and Charles Xavier isn't supposed to be suspicious? Credit me with some intelligence, please. A little sleight of hand, and our dear Charles actually sought out the man I sent to kill him, leaving us the chance to concentrate on more pressing matters.
New York City.
Are you 100% sure these clothes hide our mutant biosignatures from the Sentinel storm?
Professor X doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who would make something like that up for a laugh, Iceman.
Wow, I think that Dr. Pepper I just had is trickling down my leg.
A couple of months ago, I couldn't sleep because I was worried my dad would find out I stole $20 from his jacket. Now I'm a suspected terrorist because I'm carrying unfashionable DNA.
Colossus and I don't like being holed up in Xavier's old school either, Iceman. But going solo just means you end up as dead as the mutants you see on the news.
Actually, I'm starting to like the school. It's fun being around people where I don't have to keep up that lame Homo sapien pretense. Of course, Cyclops can be a little intense sometimes, but he's surprisingly funny once he drops all the barriers. Same goes for Beast and Marvel Girl. Who couldn't like a telepath who fires dirty jokes into your head when Professor X is being serious? The only one I haven't really warmed up to is Wolverine.
God, I loathe Wolverine. Have you seen the way he checks everyone out with those mean little eyes? It's like he's sizing us all up for coffins.
That's probably just his Black Ops training storm. If there was anything genuinely sinister going on in his head, the Professor would be the first to know about it.
The Xavier Institute for Gifted Children.
Marvel Girl to all available X-Men. Wolverine is murdering Cyclops in the Professor's Arboretum. Somebody get down here and help me nail this lunatic.
You forgot to tell him to bring a dustpan and broom, baby.
Jane! You sick son of a...
She'd only have broken your heart in the end, Scotty boy.
That healing factor of yours is gonna be working overtime tonight, Wolverine. Let's see if you can grow yourself another freaking head when I tear this one off.
Wow, Beast's so angry he almost said a dirty word. Just shut up and die, dog brat! I feel like I'm cracking heads in the Spina Bifida ward here. You badly trained morons were dead the minute you looked me in the eye. The only real question I had was whether my adamantium claws were tougher than this Russian clown's organic metal shell. Well, I guess the 8 pints of rhesus negative seeping out onto the grass answers that, right, Professor?
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't impressed on some primitive level, Wolverine. But you're only supposed to wrestle your fellow X-Men in these danger room exercises, not hack them to pieces.
Sorry, bub. Force of habit. These virtual simulations you put together are pretty convincing, Beast. You got any over 18 versions?
Consider yourself at the top of the list for the Brittany and Christina program I've been working on upstairs.
I'm glad you're settling in, Wolverine. But I must admit I'm a little surprised you've remained with us this long.
Yeah, what attracts a maverick with a rep like yours to our quiet little upstate safe house?
Charles Xavier is our single obstacle, Wolverine. I want you to infiltrate his circle and eliminate him. You're the only one among us who can shield his thoughts, and the one man alive I can trust this mission to.
The scenery, bub. The scenery.
Congratulations, Iceman. You just saved Wolverine from 6 weeks of sucking dinner through a straw.
Why is everybody standing around cracking stupid jokes? Haven't you heard the news?
What news?
At 9:15 a.m. local time, the president's daughter disappeared from her room at New Jersey's Princeton University. 45 minutes later, the Brotherhood of Mutants claimed responsibility for the kidnapping, and a statement was issued by Magneto, leader of the anti-human cult.
113 mutants have been murdered by the Sentinels in an effort by your president to halt evolution. But their next mutant kill shall be followed by the execution of his foul-mouthed female calf. This is my one and only warning. I have nothing more to say.
God, this is terrible. What are we supposed to do now?
Rescue her, of course. What other course of action would you recommend, Cyclops?
But rescuing their first daughter, or whatever they call her, means the Sentinels are going to be out there forever, Professor. I don't like Magneto any more than you do, but at least he stopped the government from killing mutants.
The only lasting solution to the tension between mankind and the mutant population is a peaceful one, Storm. Turn your back on this girl now and you might as well sign up with Magneto.
Cyclops?
I hate to say it, but he's right. We all want to see the Sentinels taken out of the picture, but we can't let the Brotherhood use this girl as a bargaining chip. I just hope you know what you're doing, Professor.
What about you, Wolverine? You tagging along for our first real fight with the Brotherhood of Mutants?
Well, I kinda had my heart set on playing backgammon with the Professor here, but why the heck not? Sounds like it could be a laugh.
Croatia.
This still doesn't sit right with me, people. Why do I suddenly feel like a black guy drafting newsletters for the Ku Klux Klan?
I know what you mean, Colossus, but the Professor thinks this is our best chance yet of showing the public that we're not all people-eating monsters.
Beautiful sentiment, Cyclops, but I'm not counting any chickens. Is anyone even sure we've tracked this girl down to the correct continent?
Oh, she's here, Storm. Cerebro was able to pinpoint the kidnappers right down to the brand of toilet paper they've been using. Their jet back to the Savage Land won't be here for another 18 minutes, but I want everybody out of this creepy little country with 5 giant-sized minutes to spare.
Down below.
What happened to my sword and cigarettes? There were 15 in the pack before I went for a slash.
I can smoke 15 before the match goes out, Toad. 30 if I'm really trying.
Really? What a wonderful mutant ability, Quicksilver. Thank God we've got each other for intelligent conversation, Scarlet Witch.
Actually, the only intelligent conversation I get around here
is when I talk to myself, Mastermind.
Ready when you are, Colossus.
What the heck? Did you just break wind again without authorization, Blob?
They're all yours, beast!
Hit the floor, Cyclops!
Let's hope you've been doing that homework we've been giving you, Iceman. Iceman?
Sorry I missed my cue, folks, but I think I just saw Wolverine relieving himself against a wall back there.
Who are you people?
The good guys, of course. Now buckle up and close your eyes, miss. You're going home.
Oh no, she isn't! She's coming back to the Savage Land! Strange and treacherous piece of filth! I already promised the little fish-faced boy he could keep the hairless monkey as a pet.
Missing a face, moron?
I can't believe you're seriously trying to outrun me, you idiots! I could have your skins hanging from the telephone wires in the wink of an eye!
Man, that had to be just about the longest pee in history.
Wolverine! What are you doing here?
Wouldn't you like to know?
You know, whoever said that tight leather t-shirt doesn't make you look like the teen pansy was lying, Cyclops. You're next, by the way, you stupid-looking American cow.
What?
Beast to all points. Colossus and I just disabled Mastermind and the Blob. But there are more of them crawling out of the woodwork every second. Anyone fit to lend a hand?
Sorry, Beast. Problems of our own right now.
Oh, bloody!
Nice work, Iceman. Now give Storm room to finish him off with a localized lightning bolt or something.
Who needs thunderstorms when I've got my trusty old size 8 strapped on, Cyclops? This is for calling me American, you skinny English jerk!
Wait, where's the girl?
Oh my God! Don't burst into tears just yet, Cyclops. She's alive and well and only hours away from worrying about boys, zits, and trigonometry again. Unless, of course, the Scarlet Witch up there fries us with one of her hex bolts. Jeez, Magneto's gonna kill me for this.
Wolverine, the Marvel girl. Can you read my mind and fly that plane at the same time?
Loud and clear, Wolverine. But the computer says the only way we can pull this off is if you get that heap up to 120.
Get the coffee on, Gene? I'll be with you in a second.
Wolverine, this is Cyclops. What are you doing?
About 120, I hope.
You'd do anything to impress a 17-year-old in a tight sweater, wouldn't you?
Actually, I've kind of got my eye on a telepathic 19-year-old. But I'm worried she's gonna waste her life waiting on a loser who brushes his teeth 6 times a day.
Don't give up hope, Wolverine.
You never know your luck.
Cyclops to Marvel girl. Give yourself a pat on the back and rendezvous 5 miles west as planned, Gene. Oh, and Wolverine?
Nice work.
Bad news, people. The Brotherhood's plane just touched down for the Savage Land trip, with a guy in a purple cape who looks disturbingly familiar.
Magneto?
This just gets worse by the second. Drop who you're hitting and start running, boys and girls. We did what we were asked to do, now let's get out while we're still packing a pulse.
We're too late, Cyclops.
What are you talking about?
I think Beast's dead!
Croatia.
Storm, this is Cyclops. I don't think we read your last message correctly. Did you just say Beast's dead?
How am I supposed to know? I'm a car thief, not a doctor. All I know is that a bomb went off under the guy and now he isn't moving or breathing. How the heck are we going to get him out of here?
What was that?
Croat snipers with a Madon from mutants, I think. Man, how does that bald-headed crank in the wheelchair talk us into this stuff, Cyclops?
Oh my God!
Cyclops?
He's down, Storm. The locals just put a bullet in his chest and now they're gunning for me. Where do we go from here? Nobody ever covered Cyclops being dead in the danger room exercises.
Stay cool, Iceman. Why do you think God created Kevlar?
Colossus, how fast can you get to Storm and Beast? We need to rendezvous with the others before Magneto spots the widescreen pyrotechnics.
Kyoto's already here, but I doubt even he's going to be able to hold the locals back much longer. I'm trying to rustle up something nasty to hit them with. I'm just so stressed. All I've managed so far is a little light sleet.
So much for rescuing the president's daughter, buying us brownie points with the human race.
They hate us, Cyclops. As far as ordinary people are concerned, we rank war between athletes, foot, and child molesters.
Even Professor X was ready to sacrifice all 7 of us, just to save some spoiled little white chick with an old money surname.
Actually, I can hardly believe Charles sent you here myself.
Back off, Magneto! I don't care who you are or what you can do. Take one more step towards my people, and I'll burn a hole in you like a donut, mister.
Don't talk to me about your people, Cyclops. Your people are being executed on the streets of so-called civilized society every day. And what are you doing, you treacherous little lapdog? Sabotaging a simple kidnap plot which might have ended the President's Sentinel initiative at a stroke. How could you come here and risk your lives to defend the state-sanctioned murder of your own species? Doesn't it bring a tear to your eye that you might have sacrificed a friend in your bid to ingratiate yourselves with your persecutors? I was doing this for you, you little ingrates. But it's obvious you deserve everything you get from Homo sapiens. My only desire now is that the Sentinels you've risked everything to retain give you a slow and painful death.
Listen, this isn't as black and white as it looks, Magneto. We weren't exactly jumping for joy about coming here ourselves.
Save your breath, Cyclops. I have nothing more to say to infants hell-bent on suicide. Just go.
I don't understand, Father. Xavier being separated from his followers like this gave Wolverine the perfect opportunity to catch him alone. You don't think he's lost his mind and allied himself with that little band of renegades, do you?
Don't be such an idiot, Scarlet Witch. Wolverine always gets the job done, and murdering Charles was something he was very much looking forward to. He's only doing what he did when I sent him to kill that little despot in the Gulf and the CEO of that corporation which was pumping all that wretched filth into the ocean. You know Wolverine. Holding off on a kill just means there's a woman he's trying to get into bed first.
The Xavier Institute for Gifted Children.
I didn't know Jean and the Professor were surgeons.
They aren't, but they're as qualified as anyone within their mind-reading radius. 50 times as far if the Professor's mental abilities are enhanced by Cerebro. And they call it something, but I can't remember the word. Brainstorming, I think.
Bobby's taking this very badly. He's locked himself in his room and made me promise not to break in the door.
It's easy to forget what age he is, isn't it? I mean, what must this seem like when you're 15 years old?
You know the worst part of it all for me? That sickening get-right-under-your-skin detail that makes me ashamed to call myself a human being?
What's that?
I called Beast's mom to tell her what happened, and the bigoted old witch wouldn't even take my call.
The school's infirmary.
How's he doing?
Surprisingly well, all things considered. The internal damage he sustained was gigantic. But we found a biotech team in Seattle on the verge of patenting a revolutionary new transplant procedure. Human trials still have to be okayed by the FDA, but the animal tests have been insanely successful. In fact, the only side effect recorded was a gang of African spider monkeys whose fur turned navy blue. And even that only happened in less than 1% of cases.
God bless those altruistic primates, huh? Any word on when Beast's gonna be back on his feet?
The professor reckons he should be vertical again in a couple of weeks, but it's Cyclops who's giving the smart money irritable bowel syndrome at the moment.
Don't tell me he's still blaming himself for all this.
Are you kidding? Cyclops blames himself for the hole in the ozone layer, Wolverine. Coordinating an operation where one of us almost died is the worst thing that could happen to an 18-year-old control freak. Especially when he didn't even want to go on the mission, and Professor X talked him into it. He feels like a first-class idiot.
What about you? How do you feel?
Rattled. But I trust the professor. And the latest from Washington is that the president's feeling highly conciliatory since he got his daughter back. The professor expects a suspension of the Sentinel program in the next 60 to 90 minutes.
No, Jean. How do you feel about me?
Honestly, I'm not sure I particularly like you, Wolverine. Sure, you've proved yourself as an X-Man, but I haven't bought this idea that you're an overnight convert to Professor Xavier's integrationist ideology. Your Weapon X training might mean I can't read the thoughts you don't want me to, but I'm empathic enough to know you're here for all the wrong reasons. I think the way people have treated you over the years has really screwed you up, and as much as it goes against everything the school's supposed to stand for, I really, really wish we'd never met you.
So, how come you find me so attractive?
I wish I knew.
The viewing room.
Actually, I'm astonished that the President has suspended the Sentinels, because I know what kind of political pressure he was under to maintain a tough line. But tell him I'm delighted by his decision, and pleased to have played a part in the safe return of his daughter. My X-Men and I would be honored to accept his invitation to the White House, and hope this is the beginning of a long, fruitful relationship.
Laying it on a bit thick, aren't you, Professor?
Would you excuse me for a moment, Miss Rice? One of my students appears to be having problems with his homework.
In your own time, Professor Xavier. We'll just be sitting here running the country if you need us.
Planning a trip, Cyclops?
Yeah, a one-way ticket out of here. This big plan you had is obviously going nowhere, and I'm leaving before anyone else gets blown up for your useless cause.
We're hardly going nowhere, Scott. I've just arranged for the first Human-Mutant Summit and negotiated a suspension of the Sentinel program, for God's sake.
You mean we're supposed to be grateful because the Texans given us a temporary stay of execution? I'm not interested in getting a few scraps from their table anymore, man. I just want the same rights as everybody else.
But you have to look at this from their perspective, Cyclops. A new race has emerged, bombed their cities, and declared they're here to replace them. The Sentinels were an obvious knee-jerk reaction, but getting everyone around the negotiating table was our objective from the beginning.
Why should we sit down and negotiate with the kind of filth that put Henry McCoy in a coma?
Because they're human beings, Cyclops. And whether you like it or not, we're sharing this planet with 6 billion of them. Magneto's ideas for a new and better world are attractive to any young mutant, but you must understand that he remains the single greatest threat to our fragile peace process. As much as I treasure all forms of life, I wouldn't hesitate to switch off his brain if it wasn't for the thought-proof helmet he wears to protect himself. The others look up to you, Scott. You leaving now would have a disastrous effect at such a pivotal stage in my plans. Why don't you go back to your room and unpack, and we'll say nothing else about this unfortunate little episode, eh?
Professor, are you doing something to my mind?
Just releasing a pleasant hormone into your bloodstream to calm those rising tempers, my friend. We were about to exchange 6 very unpleasant sentences, and I know for a fact that a reasonable boy like you couldn't possibly mean the 5th one.
Can you read what I'm thinking now, Professor?
Language like that betrays a limited vocabulary, Cyclops.
Well, right now I'm feeling monosyllabic, man. Give me a call when you get tired of kissing up to the evil Empire.
Beast to all available X-Men. I repeat, this is Beast calling any X-Men currently on the premises.
Would somebody come along to the infirmary and explain why I've suddenly got blue hair?
The Savage Land.
Okay, Magneto, I'm interested. Let's hear what you've got to say for yourself.
Welcome to the Savage Land, Brother Cyclops.
London.
What's going on?
The Brotherhood of Mutants just bombed Parliament to the bloody MI6 building, mate. Special branch wants you lot handling crowd control down the embankment, ASAP.
Come back, IRA. All is forgiven, eh? Plonkers.
Ready when you are, Cyclops.
What about the warning, Quicksilver?
Excuse me? We said they'd have 15 minutes to evacuate their offices, but you set those bombs off in under 3, you idiot. You forget you're the only one around here who can break the freaking sound barrier?
Don't take it personally, my friends. I'm sure he really meant to compliment Mastermind on the authentic disguises, and congratulate the rest of us for sabotaging Blair's plan for a fleet of British Sentinels.
This isn't a joke, Quicksilver. Magneto organized this as a bloodless operation, and you knew it, mister.
You'll have to forgive my brother's impatience, Cyclops. 15 minutes must feel like forever when your heart beats 25 times a second.
I don't care how many times his heart beats, Wanda. What kind of excuse is that? Man, I should make you people walk back to the Savage Land for this one.
Washington, D.C.
Any luck?
Cyclops still isn't answering, Logan. Which means his comlink's either switched off or lying in a South Sea Island trash can somewhere. I just wish I could shake this horrible feeling that his leaving the team had something to do with me.
To be honest, I thought you'd be more worried about how Scott's little London trip was gonna influence Charlie Xavier's big meeting at the White House today, Jeannie. I mean, how's he supposed to talk the president into scrapping the Sentinel program when his old gopher's hurling Semtex at Buckingham Palace?
You sound awfully committed for a guy just hanging around the hotel spending the professor's plastic. I guess everyone was wrong about you, huh, Mr. Wolverine?
No, Jean. Everyone was absolutely right.
The White House.
Again, I can only offer my utmost apologies for London, Mr. President. I just hope this insanity hasn't changed your mind about the suspension of the Sentinel Initiative.
Not a bit, Professor Xavier. After what you and your students have done for us lately, how could we possibly justify these indiscriminate attacks on our mutant population? Everyone pretty much agrees that negotiations are the best way forward now, but there's still one final mission planned for Bolivar Trask's machines, I'm afraid.
I'm not sure I follow you, sir.
The Savage Land, Professor. We finally uncovered its whereabouts.
Oh my God.
To be honest, we'd probably never have found it if it hadn't been for the Blackbird jet our satellites picked up landing in the area a couple of weeks ago. It was only once we looked a little closer that we realized that what seemed like a scattered rock formation was actually just a complex three-dimensional hologram.
Way to go, Cyclops.
Quiet storm. Does this mean you're preparing an attack?
Actually, I've already consulted with the NATO chiefs of staffs and the decision was unanimous, Professor. This island is a refuge for a cult dedicated to the destruction of our very species. It would be irresponsible of us not to strike while the opportunity presents itself.
What's going on, Professor? Are they gonna kill Cyclops?
One of my students is on that island, Mr. President.
Only because he joined a terrorist organization. This isn't exactly Little Bo Peep we're talking about here.
I hope you realize that provoking Magneto like this threatens the life of every man, woman, and child on this entire planet.
I'm sorry, Professor. That's a chance we just have to take.
The Savage Land.
You look troubled, Cyclops.
Maybe I'm just not as thrilled about killing people as the guys I share a bathroom with at the moment, Magneto.
But you didn't kill anyone, Scott. Quicksilver always detonates the bombs. I hear he hopes these displays of public cruelty might bring us closer together, but it's quite the reverse, I'm afraid. Man is alone among the animals when it comes to taking pleasure in the suffering of others. Homo Superior loves all living things.
Even those people being scraped off the walls back in London?
I know it's hard, Scott, but you've got to stand back and look at the bigger picture. Even the best of us must do abhorrent things in the pursuit of the greater good sometimes. This world is more than 5 billion years old, and yet in just 200 years, Homo sapiens have created an environment which will only sustain us for another few decades. They invented war. They write manuals on torture. Every living relative I had in the world was either gassed, shot, or roasted alive in one of their periodic genocides. They're a fundamentally flawed creation, and it's our duty to replace them at the earliest opportunity. As the more intelligent species, one might even say that it's our moral responsibility.
You realize you sound exactly like Adolf Hitler?
Actually, he was one of theirs, Scott. I only wish to teach them the error of their ways, and where necessary, employ some pioneering neurosurgery. I'm not a cruel man, you understand. It's been years since I've even tasted flesh, human or otherwise. My only real ambition now is to make this world as beautiful and perfect as my little private jungle, and raise fit, precocious grandchildren who might breathe unpolluted air.
I'm never going to kill for you, Magneto.
Nor would I ask you to, Cyclops. Our perfect world will be here soon enough. Incidentally, are you coming to the Scarlet Witch's poetry recital in the Dream Room tonight?
I guess. But what's this Epsilon Omega she's supposed to be reading in? Some kind of language?
Actually, it's the mutant alphabet I want everyone here using after summer solstice. She finds you very attractive, you know. She told me she's thinking of seducing you afterwards. Oh, and Cyclops. This might sound like an unusual request, but if Quicksilver is around tonight, would you do me a favor and address me as Father when we're standing in his presence?
Why does he take such pleasure in hurting me, Wanda? Have I really been such a bad son that I deserve to cry myself to sleep like this every night?
Magneto couldn't ask for a more perfect son, Pietro. Blob says he just resents us because we're constant reminders of his one moment of weakness with a Homo sapien female all those years ago.
But I wish he'd stop criticizing me in front of people. He even said my mutant power was effeminate this morning.
Poor Pietro. Even when you were a little boy, all you ever wanted was to make him proud.
What in God's name?
Chromium machines to kill a master of magnetism? No wonder we call ourselves Homo Superior.
Any species this stupid deserves its little free fall down the food chain.
What does it look like I'm doing, you imbecile? I am rearranging their circuit boards. Changing their prime directive from hunting and killing anyone with mutant genes to hunting and killing anyone without them.
My God!
You have my word, my brothers, that 1,000, no, 100,000 human beings will die tonight for every mutant lying bleeding at your feet. I want them to smell their children's flesh burning in their nostrils.
But what about the perfect world you told me about, Magneto? I thought you wanted to teach the human race, not exterminate them.
Oh, humanity isn't going to die tonight, Cyclops. Just America. The rest of the world will soon fall into line when they see me dancing on the ashes of a president.
It started, hasn't it? The war Xavier always tried to prevent.
And there's no way to stop it now, Cyclops. Even if we wanted to, we can't stop Dad.
Let evolution take its course, my friend. I know it's hard, but what comes next is almost certainly for the best.
Drop dead, dirtbag. Professor X, this is Cyclops. We've got a situation here, sir.
Washington, D.C.
You filthy, two-faced dirtbag! I can't make up my mind which is worse. The fact you came here to kill the professor, or the fact you confessed it when we were lying in bed. How could you think I'd do anything else except rip your lungs out for this, Wolverine?
Because I turned for you, Jeannie. I came here hating Xavier's guts, but ended up falling for his big idea, just like the rest of you people. To tell the truth, I kind of figured you'd be happy to have another sheep in your fold.
You'll see how happy I am when I shove this candlestick up your...
May I have your attention, please? This is Professor X of the X-Men, with a telepathic warning for every intelligent life form in Washington. I have just been informed by one of my students that Magneto is en route from the Savage Land with a fleet of reprogrammed Sentinels. At their present speed, I estimate that they will be here in approximately 2 hours. The military have already been alerted to this situation, and a complete evacuation of the capital is now underway. In the meantime, my students and I will do everything we can to protect you.
The Savage Land.
Cyclops, where are you going?
Home. Where do you think? I can't just stand here like an idiot while Jean and the others get their heads cracked open by that lunatic father of yours, Wanda.
But they'll be halfway to Washington already, Scott. You haven't a hope of catching up with them now.
I have to try. I can't let what happened here happen back home. Not while there's still a chance to do something.
But you can't do anything, Cyclops. Even at full speed, the Blackbird isn't gonna get you there in time. You're just not fast enough.
Maybe not, Quicksilver, but you are. Isn't it about time you stood up to your freaking dad for once in your life anyway, you little snot?
Okay, Beast and Colossus, you're on crowd control. Iceman and Storm, we're supporting the Air Force. Does anyone have any last-minute questions before we begin?
Can I go to the bathroom, please, Marvel girl?
No, but you can stop the stupid jokes, Storm. There's a time and a place for being flippant, and this most definitely isn't it. I'm counting 300 to 400 Sentinels up there, and they're packing enough heat to level Washington, D.C. 10 times over, boys and girls.
It's up, people die.
Okay, we get the picture, Jean. Shut up! I'm freaking out here as it is!
No, you're not, Colossus. You're 500 pounds of organic steel and one of the world's most powerful mutants. You can flatten diamonds between your fingertips, for God's sake. How can a Sentinel give you grief, Tractor Boy? These things were ancient history the second you got out of bed this morning. Hey, you want to tell me how cool I am too, Jean?
Marvel Girl when we're in the field, Iceman. Storm, where are you, girl? On a coffee break? Those USAF jets are getting massacred up there.
I didn't notice.
Storm, it's Beast. Not sure what you're doing to those things, but I'm officially impressed. Is that ball lightning you just conjured up?
Yeah, I found the recipe on that atmospheric anomalies website you linked me to after our last Danger Room session, Henry.
Facing off against the Sentinels isn't nearly as terrifying when you're hiding in a corner and taking them out long distance. You know, I'm actually getting pretty good at this stuff.
Wolverine, this is Marvel Girl. What do you think you're doing? I told you to stay out of it.
Sorry, Dave, but Xavier doesn't have a chance against Magneto on his own. And I can't stand around and watch him make Charlie eat his wheelchair.
I swear to God, Wolverine, if you even think about hurting the Professor...
Trust me, kid. The Professor ain't the one who's gonna be feeding any worms tonight.
Listen carefully, Homo sapiens, because I will say this only once. Your reign as Earth's dominant species is formally at an end. The creature you regarded as the most powerful man alive has just licked my boots clean. His execution now will serve as a warning to any other world leaders who refuse to recognize their new position in the
coming global order. Obey us, and you may live as our slaves and playthings. Disobey, and you will be categorized as mutant foodstuffs. America dies tonight at the age of 225. Your intolerance and all-consuming greed will not be missed. Who the devil?
You and I need to have a serious talk, Eric.
No, we don't, Charles. We need to finish a fight we started in the jungle rain almost 2 years ago. You simpering little spat. And this time, I'm going to do a lot worse than leave you in a wheelchair.
Will somebody help me out here? I'm operating at 50% agility. I seem to be attracting 3 times as many sentinels as everybody else.
They probably just think you're 3 different people in a single costume, BC.
Don't mess with the Iceman, boys and girls.
Bobby, for God's sake, get out of the way! Those things are coming down right on top of us!
You know, in some ways, your death means more than the murder of that shifty little daddy's boy anyway, Charles. The world watching me kill you proves how abhorrent I find your integrationist agenda, and the lengths to which I'll go to keep humanity in their pens. I can't imagine how frustrating this must be for you, old friend. The world's most powerful brain only moments from extinction. Oh, how you must rue the day I built this thought-proof helmet, huh? Any final pearls of wisdom before I spray that beautiful mind across the world's television screens?
Nothing springs to mind immediately, Eric, but I have my suspicions that you've just uttered yours.
What?
You heard the man, bub! Wolverine! What are you doing? Do I really need to spell it out? I'm playing for the other team now, freak! You told us life was just a choice between men wiping us out and the Homo sapien Holocaust you always wanted. But Charlie Xavier offered me a third option.
And what's that? Embracing a species which tortured you like a lab monkey?
No. Teaching them we're all human!
You know, I think I liked you a lot better when you were cynical and heartless, Wolverine. And don't think that healing factor is going to help you either, you treacherous little runt. Tearing open my vitals might have stopped Homo Superior from inheriting the Earth today. But I'd rather burn in 1,000 hells tonight than just hand it over to Homo sapiens.
Marvel Girl, what's going on here?
Your dad just fired off a magnetic pulse to override the controls on every nuclear missile on the planet, Quicksilver. What does it look like?
James, this is Reed. We're talking thermonuclear war and global extinction in 10 minutes, Marvel Girl. You're the closest and the most formidable. You've got to take Magneto out.
But nobody can get anywhere near him, Henry.
He's just too fast.
Relatively speaking, of course. Lucky for you, fast just happens to be my specialty.
Dear God.
That's what happens when you treat someone like dirt beneath your fingernails for their entire life, Father.
Charles?
Hello, Eric.
Ah! Get out of my head, you stupid cripple!
James, what's he doing? Turning Magneto into a super magnet by the looks of it. Get down!
Charles, please, I'm begging you! Spare my life, and I swear, I'll think any thoughts you want.
Ow! My feelings feel like they're gonna get ripped out of my molars!
They'll be fine, Bobby. The professor knows exactly what he's doing. Trust him!
Charles!
Oh my god! The professor's having some kind of seizure. I think his brain's closing down.
Don't touch him, Peter. He just needs another few seconds in Magneto's head to pull this thing off.
Goodbye, old friend. Give my regards to the dodo.
The Xavier Institute for Gifted Children.
It's good to have you back, Cyclops.
It's good to be back, sir. I'm just glad I didn't let everyone down too much by storming out of here like that.
Not at all, Scott. You were there when you were needed, and that's the only thing that matters. This entire episode has worked out precisely as I would have wanted.
Even Wolverine?
As far as I'm concerned, Wolverine has more than proved himself as an X-Man, young Scott. He's as welcome in these corridors as anyone. Although, from what I hear, he's leaving in the morning to take care of some unfinished business elsewhere.
Really? I hadn't heard.
Don't look too disappointed, Mr. Summers.
I still can't believe what happened in Washington. I mean, are you sure people actually cheered when you won?
Well, we did just save the President, plus 300 million of our fellow American Cyclops. A little round of applause was hardly unjustified.
I know. It's just that I'm so used to people throwing bottles at us after we rescue them. I really wish I could have been there to see everything we always wanted to come together like that.
Oh, there'll be plenty of other times, I'm sure. After all, eliminating the Sentinels, opening the door to Magneto's Brotherhood, and gaining the trust of Homo sapiens was just Phase 1 of our little master plan. Phase 2 promises to be a lot more interesting.